Hey everyone, this video is mostly about AWS Lambda. Let's get into the video. So let's see what is Lambda and why we are using the Lambda. Consider you are using a microservice application, guys. We will be using only the Lambda when you are using the microservice applications. So consider you are using a microservice application. For example, if I am taking a train ticket booking, here you can see there will be a different number of microservices will be running as like payment service and notification service. Like this, there will be n number of microservices will be running. So you can consider like for payment service, you can't deploy a complete server and you can't run, right, it because it will not going to run for an entire period of time. It will be going to run for some period of time until the payment is done. Okay, for this you can use Lambda, guys, which is like the pay whenever the user clicks pay go to payment page, this payment service will be called, and once the payment is done, this service will be closed and the event will be sent to another service. Okay, so for us running for a short period of time, you can use AWS Lambda, guys. Let's get into the technical of AWS Lambda. AWS Lambda is nothing but a serverless architecture, guys. Serverless architecture model, which is like you need not to maintain the server, which is completely managed by AWS. The server is completely managed by AWS, so you need to run the code without provisioning the server, guys. Code run without provisioning the server manually, without provisioning the server, it because it is completely taken care by the AWS. So when the server is provisioned by the AWS, it is completely managed by also the AWS, guys. Just we need to give a code, everything is taken care by the AWS. So this is the advantages of AWS Lambda. So it also provides auto scaling, which is like if one request is coming to the Lambda, it will process and it will give the output. If n number of requests is coming to the Lambda will scale up. It will scale up and it will provide the results to the end user or to the next service, guys. Whenever the n number of requests are coming in, it will scale up. Whenever the request goes down, it will scale down, guys. Like we see in the EC2. So these are the various features, that is some features that is provided by Lambda, AWS Lambda. Also, we will see the next what are the features that is provided by AWS Lambda, guys. First is serverless. Serverless means it is completely managed by AWS. We need not to maintain any server. Second is it is event driven, which is like we in some event should trigger the Lambda, guys. Without in triggering, it will not run. Which is like here, when in the example we see whenever a user click go to payments, this is an event. This will trigger the Lambda, guys. And whenever the Lambda is triggered, and the output will be sent to the another service. So this is another event, guys. So here we need one is a source event and this is a destination event, guys. So this is the event driven, and third is pay as you go, which is like here you can see you will be entering to the payment page, which is a Lambda. Until the payment is completed, it will be wait here. So if it takes 5 minutes, it will cost around for per minute, it will cost around some cost. So if it's run for 5 minutes, it will cost around for 5 minutes. If it run for 10 minutes, it will cost around for 10 minutes. So it will cost based on the Lambda function running execution time, guys. If Based on the execution, it will charge. Other than that, it will not charge, guys. The next is support. Here, you can write the Lambda function in different languages. It will support multiple languages like Node.js, Python, and it will support n number of languages. So you will see in the demo video. So these are the some of the features that is provided by AWS Lambda, guys. So now see how it works. We need to how it works. We need to create a Lambda function, create a Lambda. We need to just upload a code. After uploading the code, we need to set a trigger, which is like you can consider like in the example you can go to payment page, which is a trigger. Okay, it will be configured with the Lambda. Like this, we need to set up a source trigger, and we need to give a destination, guys. Here the destination is not necessary, it's like an optional, but the source trigger should be given, guys, so that only it will trigger the Lambda, and after then it will be execution. These are the working steps in AWS Lambda. And here, as a DevOps engineer, we will be mostly creating the Lambda function. Mostly the developers will be taken care the Lambda, which is like the developers will be going to write the code, and they'll be testing the code in the Lambda function. So just for our in DevOps, we will be using only for creating the Lambda. If you want to do any check, like if the EC2 instance is created with public subnet, like this, you can check any number of services that is created, guys. So we will be using EC2 server EC2 for checking whether it's created in public or in private, or you can also create a Lambda function to check a role whether any user is created with the admin access. Like that, we can create a Lambda function and we can use this, guys. So this is how the Lambda function is working. Whenever you create a Lambda function, you need to notice some features, which is like function URL. Function URL is like whenever you enable this function URL, the Lambda function is publicly accessible, guys. So you need to be very careful when you are dealing with the production service. This is only you need to know. And next thing is VPC. Whenever you create a Lambda function within a VPC, it can able to access the service that is created under the VPC, guys. So these are the things that you need to know whenever you create a Lambda function. So I'll show you how the Lambda function works. This is the management console of the Lambda function. Here you can see just a refresh so that you can able to see. As I mentioned, it will support multiple languages like .NET, Java, Node.js, and Python. So I'll be mostly using the Node.js or Python. So this is the export data handler. Whenever the Lambda function will triggered, it will be calling this function. If you are writing any other functions outside of this, you need to call it inside this event handler so that only it will work. If you run this, here you can see hello from Lambda. So this is how it works. Next is I will show you how it is scalable, right? As I mentioned, it is scalable. Here you can see only one request is coming to the Lambda, so it's scaling up and scaling down, or sometimes you can see it's scaled up. Whenever a number of requests increases, the Lambda function will also be increased, so execution is also increased. Whenever the request goes down, it is automatically scaling down, guys. So this is how it is working. so we will not see any downtime. Here you can see different requests from different services, so that the Lambda is scaling up and scaling down based on that. Here you can see the output. It is displaying the output with the time. So this is how it is, the Lambda gets auto scaled up and scaled down. And you can see the cost, guys. For if you are requesting a number of requests to the Lambda, the cost is very low. So for n number of invocation, for 2 lakh, 2 for 24 lakhs, it is costing around $0.34 and $0.35. So the cost is also very small, because the Lambda function is executed for a small period of time, guys. Based on the time it's executing, the cost will be increased. So this is how the Lambda function works. Thanks for watching this video.